Portraits of Queen Elizabeth II have been a part of British banknotes and coins for decades. She has also been depicted on the currencies of several other places across the globe, reminding people of the British Empire's colonial reach. Now that the Queen has passed away on Thursday, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and other countries have to swap monarchs on their money. However, it will take time. Here is a look at what is in store for the paper cash featuring the late Queen. The Queen's portrait on British currencies is expected to be replaced by a likeness of the new King Charles III, but it won't be immediate. Current banknotes featuring the image of Her Majesty, the Queen, will continue to be legal tender, the Bank of England said. The Royal Mint, which is the official marker of British coins, said all coins with her portrait remain legal tender and in circulation, with more information to come later. As we respect this period of respectful mourning, we continue to strike coins as usual, the Royal Mint said on its website. With 4.7 billion UK banknotes worth 82 billion pounds in circulation and about 29 billion coins, British money bearing the Queen's image might be in circulation for years. Rather than all of the current coins and notes being handed in, the process will be a gradual one, and many of the coins featuring portraits of Queen Elizabeth II will remain in circulation for many years to come, according to Coin Expert, a British coin research website. After Charles takes the crown at his coronation, a new portrait will need to be taken to use on redesigned notes and coins, the website said. The coin featuring him will show him facing to the left, replacing Queen's rightward gaze, according to a tradition dating to the 17th century. The Biden administration plans next month to broaden curbs on US shipments to China of semiconductors used for artificial intelligence and chip making tools, several people familiar with the matter said. The Commerce Department intends to publish new regulations based on restrictions communicated in letters earlier this year to three US companies, KLA Corp, Lam Research Corp, and Applied Materials Inc., the people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity. The plan for new rules has not been previously reported. The letters, which the companies publicly acknowledge, forbade them from exporting chip-making equipment to Chinese factories that produce advanced semiconductors with sub-14 nanometer processors unless the sellers obtain Commerce Department license. The rules would also codify restrictions in Commerce Department letters sent to NVIDIA Corp and Advanced Micro Devices last month, instructing them to halt shipments of several artificial intelligence computing chips to China unless they obtain licenses. Some of the sources said the regulations would likely include additional actions against China. The restriction could also be changed and the rules published later than expected. So-called is informed letters allow the Commerce Department to bypass lengthy rule writing processes to put controls in place quickly, but the letters only apply to the companies that receive them. Intel Corp and startups like Cerebras Systems are targeting the same advanced computing markets. Intel said it is closely monitoring the situation, while Cerebras declined to comment. One source said the rules could also impose license requirements on shipments to China of products that contain the targeted chips. Dell Technologies, Hewlett-Packard Enterprises, and Supermicro make data center servers that contains NVIDIA's A100 chip. A bottlenose dolphin found dead in a Florida canal in the spring tested positive for a highly virulent strain of bird flu, scientists said on Wednesday. The announcement came a week after Swedish officials reported that they had found the same type of avian influenza in a stranded porpoise. This version of the virus, which has spread widely among North American and European birds, has affected an unusually broad array of species, but these findings represent the first two documented cases in citations. A group of marine mammals that includes dolphin, porpoises, and whales. It is too soon to say how commonly the virus infects cetaceans, but its discovery in two different species on two different continents suggests that there have almost certainly been other cases, said Richard Webby, an influenza virologist. Our surveillance activities on a global scale are never sensitive enough to pick up the only two events of this kind, said Dr. Webby, who was not involved in the initial detection of the virus but is now working with the Florida team on follow up studies. The strain of the bird flu is known as Eurasian H5N1. While experts emphasize that the risk to humans remains low, the spread of the virus to new species poses potential risk to wildlife and provides the virus with new chances to mutate and adapt to mammalian hosts. Besides birds, the virus has earlier turned up in foxes, bobcats, and seals. While NASA continues to ready the Artemis 1 mission for its maiden lunar voyage after two scrubbed attempts, the American Space Agency has hired Axiom. Axiom will develop the next generation spacesuits and supporting systems and demonstrate their use on the lunar surface when astronauts land on the moon over half a century after Apollo missions were shut down. The contract is estimated at $228.5 million. Axiom Space won the contract, defeating another aerospace company in the fray. NASA is proud to partner with the commercial industry on this historic mission that will kickstart the United States building a lasting presence on the surface of the moon. Manager of NASA's extravehicular activities said in a statement. American Space Agency has already redefined technical and safety requirements for the next generation of spacesuits using its 50-year-long experience in space exploration and lunar manned mission. Axiom Space will be responsible for the design, development, qualification, certification, and production of these spacesuits and provide support, equipment, and maintenance for the Artemis 3 mission. NASA experts will maintain the authority for the astronaut training, mission planning, and approval of the service systems. Axiom Space will be required to test the suits in a space-like environment before Artemis 3, the agency said in a release. Afghan women made an impassioned plea at the UN for solid international action to address the gender apartheid in their country since the Taliban swept to power last year. Today, human rights in Afghanistan do not exist, Afghan journalists told United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva. The outspoken journalist and rights activist said she was sick and tired of sounding the alarm over the decimation of rights of women and girls, especially in Afghanistan, and not seeing any action. The Taliban have imposed harsh restrictions on girls and women to comply with their austere vision of Islam since returning to power in August last year, effectively squeezing them out of the public life. The hardline Islamists have shut girls' secondary schools in most provinces and barred women from many government jobs. They have also ordered women to fully cover up in public, ideally with all-encompassing burqa. The women of Afghanistan are now left to the mercy of a group that is inherently anti-women and does not recognize women as human beings. Razia Said, an Afghan lawyer and former commissioner at the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission, told the council, "Women of that country, we do not exist. We are erased." Saraj told the council during a debate focused on the rights of women and girls in Afghanistan. She appealed to the top UN rights body to take any action possible to improve the situation. She and others suggested the council could create an independent group of experts to monitor all abuses with an eye to eventually hold perpetrators to account. God only knows what kind of atrocities are not being reported, she warned. Richard Bennett, the special reporter on the rights situation in Afghanistan, also stressed the urgent need to strengthen accountability, suggesting the situation could be described as gender apartheid. Earlier Monday, Bennett had presented his first report on the overall rights situation, warning the council that Afghans are trapped in a human rights crisis that the world has seemed powerless to address. At least 49 Armenian soldiers and 50 Azeri military personnel were killed on Tuesday in the deadliest fighting between Azerbaijan and Armenia since a 2020 war, each side said, spurring Russian President Vladimir Putin to appeal for calm. Armenia and Azerbaijan, neighboring former Soviet republics, blamed each other for the renewed fighting which began overnight at several points along their border, raising fears of another major armed conflict in the area of old Soviet Union, while Russia's military is tied up in Ukraine. Russia has peacekeeping troops in the Azeri-Armenia conflict zone as guarantor of an agreement that ended a 6-week war 2 years ago over the disputed enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh. Armenia said Azerbaijan had shelled towns near the border, including Jarmug, Goris, and Kapan, forcing it to respond. Baku said Armenian sabotage units have sought to mine Azeri positions and began the shooting. It also accused Armenian troops of firing heavy weapons in violation of a ceasefire reached earlier on Tuesday. Reuters was unable to immediately verify the battlefield account from either side. It is difficult to overestimate the role of Russian Federation, the role of Putin personally, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters. The president is naturally making every effort to help de-escalate tensions at the border. Russia's war in Ukraine has undermined its status as a regional security guarantor, leaving room for Azerbaijan to make more claims, said Lawrence Boris, associate fellow at the Russia and Eurasia program. Azerbaijan, which is politically and culturally linked to Turkey, made significant territorial gains in 2020, reclaiming land lost to ethnic Armenians in an earlier war over Nagorno-Karabakh 30 years before. Alabama is readying a new untried execution method to carry out its death sentences, nitrogen hypoxia, a state attorney told a federal judge on Monday. The method was approved by the state in 2018, but it has not yet been used or tested. A deputy state attorney general told U.S. district judge that it is very likely the method will be available for the execution of Alan Eugene Miller. Alan Eugene Miller was convicted of killing 3 men in a workplace shooting in 1999. However, a final decision on whether to use this new method or not is up to Corrections Commissioner John Hamm, a deputy state attorney general said. Nitrogen hypoxia is supposed to cause death by replacing oxygen with nitrogen. In this proposed execution method, death would be caused by forcing the inmate to breathe only nitrogen, depriving his or her body of oxygen, causing asphyxiation. This method has been authorized by Alabama, Oklahoma, and Mississippi for executions, but has never been used. However, lethal injection remains the state's primary execution method. Alabama has released little information about how it would use the proposed method since most of the available information has come from court proceedings. In this method, the idea is to change the composition of the air to 100% nitrogen. When inhaled, this would cause the inmate to pass out and then die from lack of oxygen. More and more states have been proposing hypoxia as an alternative execution method because of difficulty obtaining lethal injection drugs. Critics have likened the untested method of human experimentation. It is completely untested. Robert Dunham, executive director of the Death Penalty Information Center, told the American Veterinary Medical Association's euthanasia guidelines say inert gas hypoxia is acceptable under certain conditions for euthanasia of chickens, turkeys, and pigs, but is not recommended for other mammals. Iran is set to become a permanent member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO in 2023 when India will take over as the chair of the bloc. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi arrived in the city of Samarkand on Wednesday to participate in the SCO leadership meeting, becoming the first Iranian president in 20 years to visit Uzbekistan. This summit would initiate the process of Iran becoming a full member of the SCO by 2023. National Coordinator of Uzbekistan on SCO issues said, most importantly, we will sign the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran, which opens Iran to be a full member of the SCO during the India chairmanship of 2023 if it fulfills all the obligations. Iran signed the commitment document on Wednesday itself for member state status, which was announced by Foreign Minister on Twitter. Now we have entered a new stage of various economic, commercial, transit, energy, and cooperation, he wrote. The summit will be historic since it is entering its third decade. The next presidency will go to India. India will be the chair for the first time. We are prepared for the transformation of the SCO with a very solid package of documents with new strategic perspectives not only in the traditional areas of security and stability but also development, digital transformation, connectivity, and economy. The Los Angeles Department of Public Health said on Monday it had confirmed the area's first death due to monkeypox, saying the individual was severely immunocompromised and had been hospitalized. The department said it had made the determination that the death in Los Angeles was due to monkeypox, together with US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The resident was severely immunocompromised and had been hospitalized. The department said in a statement, it is the second known death of a person diagnosed with the disease in United States. Texas last month reported the first death in a severely immunocompromised person who was diagnosed with monkeypox. The Texas case is still under investigation to see what role monkeypox played in the death. Monkeypox is rarely fatal, but people with weakened immune system may be more likely to get seriously ill or die, health officials say. Anyone can become infected with monkeypox, which spreads through close contact with an infected person. Nearly all of the more than 21,985 monkeypox cases in the United States have occurred among gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men, according to CDC. Sri Lanka will not take part in any big power rivalry in the Indian Ocean, and it is unfortunate that his country has been made the punching bag for Hambantota. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said weeks after India and China clashed over the docking of a high-tech Chinese ship at the country's southern port. Sri Lanka certainly does not want the problems of the Pacific coming to the Indian Ocean, he said while speaking on the crisis-hit country's position on geopolitical stage. We do not participate in a military alliance and we certainly do not want the problems of the Pacific coming to the Indian Ocean. We don't want this to be an area of conflict and an area of war. Sri Lanka will not take part in any big power rivalry. Vikramesh Singh on Wednesday said while addressing the graduation ceremony of the National Defence College. His remarks came weeks after Chinese embassy and the Indian High Commission here clashed verbally over the docking of the Chinese ship Yang Wang 5 at Sri Lanka's southern Hambantota port for replenishment. Vikramesh Singh said that the geopolitics of the Indian Ocean has unfortunately made Sri Lanka the punching bag for Hambantota. It is not a military port, though ours is a commercial port. It shows our strategic importance that many people come to conclusions which are unwarranted. Vikramesh Singh said in his second public comment on the issue in recent weeks.